So, 2 weeks ago, we did the top 10 best Pokemon in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Naturally, that means we gotta talk about the worst, right? Well, in today's video, I'll be doing just that. We'll be going over the 10 worst Pokemon to use during your in-game playthrough, meaning my personal opinions on certain Pokemon, as well as any Pokemon that are found after you obtain your national dex will not be included on this list. Definitely let me know down below what 10 Pokemon you feel are the absolute worst to use in an in-game playthrough, and see how my list stacks up to it by the end of this video. With that said, let's hop into it. Coming in at number 10 on today's list, we have none other than Rapidash. Rapidash used to be a favorite of Sinnoh players who didn't choose Infernape due to one feature: its fire typing. Rapidash was quite literally one of the only fire types you could obtain in the entire region, due to how limited the type was in Sinnoh. However, in BDSP, they actually managed to fix the issue, thanks to the addition of the Grand Underground. As you may know, the Sinnoh remakes have added a large pool of potential encounters you can hunt for in the underground, and they range across a wide variety of types. One of these Pokemon you can actually encounter as soon as you obtain the Explorer Kit, however, is Houndoom, which is an infinitely better fire type for this region. Houndoom is a strong, fully evolved Pokemon ready to go for your battle against Gardenia. Meanwhile, Rapidash is actually unobtainable until a round you take on Byron. On top of that, Houndoom will also match up better against more gym leaders than Rapidash would. Thanks to that secondary dark typing, you'll also have a very easy time against not only Lucian in the Elite Four, but also Fantina, who many fans consider one of the hardest gym leaders in the region. With this in mind, I think it's time we finally toss Rapidash to the side and leave it at number 10 on this list where it belongs. At number 9 on today's list, we have one of a handful of water types in this region, being Seaking. Seaking gets outclassed by a good amount of water types, whether it's Golduck and Floatzel in speed, or even just Empoleon and Gyarados by their higher base stats and better move pools. You really just have no reason to use Seaking unless it's one of your favorites. Seaking isn't even obtainable in these games until you get the Good Rod, which puts it at a severe disadvantage in being your team's water type option. Even if you didn't choose Piplup as your starter, you'd already have a stronger water type by now in the form of Gyarados. Gyarados got a few crazy buffs too in its in-game move pool, with the first thing being the addition of Waterfall as soon as level 21. This means you'll just need to level up Gyarados once after evolving, and it'll already be astronomically stronger than Seaking could ever hope to be. Gyarados' ability Intimidate also provides far more utility than Seaking, and the fact you can even set up with Dragon Dance only adds on to this. If we go into Empoleon, the Steel typing alone helps it significantly more defensively. And even Pokemon such as Golduck and Floatzel, while being not so great options, are at least enough to attack quicker than Seaking would be able to. With this in mind, I think Seaking's greatest issue, truthfully, just is how many better water types there are. Whereas if the pool for water types was as shallow as the fire type pool, maybe you'd have a reason to use this. With the excess of water types in mind, however, I think Seaking belongs, rightfully today, at number 9 on this list. In the 8th spot, we have one of the easiest Pokemon on today's list to encounter, being Chimcho. Chimcho will appear to you in the form of Chingling throughout a good amount of Mount Coronet. However, just because it's easy to find doesn't mean you should catch it. Chimcho has terrible stats overall, with a very poor move pool to add onto this. When comparing it to other psychic types in these games, similarly to Rapidash and Seaking, there's an earlier encounter for a superior psychic Pokemon in the form of Abra. Abra may be a bit of a pain to catch, however, there are definitely ways to circumvent this. You can definitely just throw Pokeballs at them until you finally catch one before it runs away. However, by choosing Chimchar, you'll also have access to Taunt at level 9. With Taunt, you stop Abra from being able to use Teleport, causing the Abra to struggle and weaken its HP so you can have an easier time catching it. Even if you can't trade to evolve your Kadabra into an Alakazam, Kadabra's stats will be both faster and stronger than Chimcho, which just goes to show how weak this Pokemon is. The fact that a fully evolved Pokemon, such as Chimcho, can't compete with a middle stage Pokemon should show how bad this Pokemon is, and why you should not use this Pokemon. However, if you do choose to use it, it's not the worst option in the world, if that makes sense.
It does not make sense!
Our number 7 spot is our second water type today, coming in the form of Lumineon. Similar to Seaking, this Pokemon has a pretty terrible level up move pool and stat combination to boot. Not only this, but even Seaking has at least a small niche over Lumineon due to its stronger offensive stats. Despite having a respectable 91 base speed, this doesn't really matter when your damage output is pretty weak. At least with Seaking only reaching 68 base speed, you'll be able to boost its speed thanks to Swift Swim to make up for this. Lumineon is among a handful of special attacking water types, whereas Seaking at least is really only competing with Gyarados and Whiscash in this regard. This mostly comes into play when trying to find a unique purpose for running a second water type. Because with so many being special attackers, you really don't need to run 2 water types that are going to use special attacks. While this isn't much weaker than Seaking, the fact it's competing with an even more competitive pool than Seaking would be leads Lumineon to rank at number 7 on today's list. Reaching our midway point is the first of many bug types in the form of Beautifly. I want to preface, I think that Dustox actually almost has some merit in these games, purely because the bug and poison typing is overall better enough to just barely keep it off today's list. However, Beautifly sadly lacks this benefit due to it being a bug and flying type. Generally, these regional bug types have pretty terrible stats, with Beautifly being no exception. The move pool is also extremely bad, especially seeing as your best flying option will probably be Air Cutter. To add to this, the bug and flying typing only has a good matchup against a few bosses, being Gardenia, Lucian, and Aaron. When you actually look at their teams, however, Aaron's team actually has a strong way out to this in the form of Drapion. Drapion, being a poison and dark type instead of a bug type, allows this to be neutral to flying. And because it's dark and poison instead of just dark, you'll also be neutral to bug. Lucian also has a way around bug types thanks to Bronzong being a steel typing, which gives even less reason to train up Beautifly. Thanks to the fact that these trainers, despite being weak to Beautifly, have some strong ways around it. I can't possibly rank it higher than number 6 on this list. Actually, also, after looking at it, even with Bug and Poison, Dustox's stats are pretty trash, having only base 50 special attack and 65 base speed. There are also much better poison types accessible across Sinnoh to use. So yeah, it's number 6. I wonder how many of you guys commented already calling out the Dustox stuff. Entering our top 5 is the regional bug type of the Sinnoh region, being none other than Cricketoon. Cricketoon is the early route bug type of the Sinnoh region, and despite not having the 4x weakness to rock, it's still a terrible option. Cricketoon's highest base stat comes from its 85 attack, with everything else being under base 80, which is really bad. Not only this, but the pure bug typing only has some form of purpose against Gardenia and Lucian, which the latter, as I mentioned above, can handle bug types thanks to his Bronzong. If this wasn't enough, Cricketoon has a terrible level up and TM move pool. The best way of using Cricketoon would probably be going for Perish Song, and hoping the AI doesn't switch around you. Cricketoon will not be able to handle many Pokemon, if any at all, on your journey without this tactic, due to how slow and frail it is, while also doing barely any damage at all. For anyone who does actually dare to train this Pokemon up, be grateful the experience share actually trains up all of your Pokemon, or else you would be struggling forever to actually train up a Kricketot or Cricketoon on your journey. I can't see anyone thinking this isn't one of the bottom 5 Pokemon in the region. But sadly, there are somehow even worse Pokemon to use than Cricketoon. The fourth Pokemon on our list takes a brief intermission from bugs before we throw in a couple more. And the Pokemon we'll be going over next is none other than Cherrim. Cherrim is actually fairly interesting due to its Flower Gift ability, giving your partner Pokemon a strong stat boost in its physical attack and special defense as long as the sun's up, which is a really nice benefit for doubles. However, the game has a very small percentage of battles this will be useful for. A good amount of the double battles that you'll encounter will actually be with partners such as Lucas and Dawn, your rival, or some other companion character. This means you really don't have many chances to truly take advantage of this ability for your team. Well, let's say I just care about using Cherrim's ability to boost its own stats. Would that help it be an actually useful Pokemon? Well, not really. Cherrim actually still has pretty terrible base stats, and will most likely be just using Grass-type attacks. Grass doesn't really provide many useful matchups, however you'll at least have a good time beating Bertha down. And coming from personal experience, that was even hard for me, considering I used it on my team for Shining Pearl. I don't really think you'd get any use out of this Pokemon against Crash or Wake though, since Wake has a few Pokemon that can actually really threaten this due to Cherrim's weak stats. Overall, Cherrim has a really cool gimmick, but its gimmick is really the only thing that keeps it from being in the bottom 3 on today's list. The Bronze Metal Pokemon here starts to get into almost comically bad territory, with the joint entry of Mothim and Wormadam. This entry basically takes on the form of 4 Pokemon, as Wormadam has 3 unique forms of its own. Despite having all of these unique variations, not a single one of them is useful in any sense of the word. Mothim almost has usable speed and a move pool for your journey. However, it's still an extremely annoying encounter to even obtain. Not only this, but you have to find a male Burmy to even have a chance at this encounter anyway. If you have the female Burmy, you're going to be stuck with a Pokemon that, despite having some cool type combinations, has some absolutely horrendous stats. The Wormadams are all plagued with the horrendous base 36 speed, and they typically also have fairly low bulk overall with 1 usable stat. This 36 speed is basically what holds them back, because they all typically faint to a single fire attack and never see any actual play. Even if you manage to evolve Burmy into a Mothim, as I mentioned earlier, this really only has use against Gardenia's gym. Even with Mothim having this one good matchup and better stats than Beautifly, the encounter is significantly harder to obtain. You'll need to wait 6 hours after shattering Honey in order to even find out if your tree had this encounter, which is absolutely insane for such a terrible Pokemon. With this in mind, I have to rank both Wormadam and Mothim at number 3 on this list. Our penultimate Pokemon today is yet another bug type in the form of Vespaquin. Vespaquin has the same issues as Wormadam, Mothim, and Beautifly combined, however to a far worse extent. Vespaquin is not only another honey encounter, but it's also another bug in flying typing. And it's another Pokemon that needs to be a specific gender to evolve. However, this isn't like Burmy, where at least either gender provides something to evolve into, as male Combee outright do not evolve. Wormadam and Mothim aren't exactly good Pokemon, but at least they aren't as weak as some sort of male Combee. If you do manage to find a female Combee, however, this Pokemon still has an absolutely trash move pool. Vespaquin's best flying attack would be Air Slash. Meanwhile, it won't learn a good bug move until either level 40 with Attack Order or through the X-Scissor TM. You really have no reason to even invest a TM into this Pokemon, however, because let's face it, why would you hunt honey trees for a 12.5% chance at a female Combee when even finding a Combee to begin with is already a huge pain? You should absolutely never use this Pokemon, as it's easily one of the worst Pokemon to use. The only reason it isn't number 1 is the reason that our number 1 Pokemon has quite literally only one move to use. Yes, our number one option has one move and 28 forms, with all 28 forms being just as useless, being unknown. Unknown is only good for one thing, and that's sitting in your box. If you want to use Unknown, I actually have a pretty strong guide for this one that you can follow. All you need to do is throw an Ultra Ball, nickname it whatever you want, and deposit it into box 18, never to see sunlight again. That's the only way anyone should ever be using this Pokemon. If you are genuinely unsure why this Pokemon is bad, its stats being 48 in everything besides special and physical attack is a good place to start. And that single move it has, being Hidden Power, is going to be based on your IVs for the Unknown, which means both its damage output and its typing will be determined the second you catch this Pokemon. I can't imagine why anyone would try to catch a Pokemon this bad other than for the sheer purpose of having a full collection of all the forms. However, if you are truly brave enough to try this, or any Pokemon on today's list, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Well, that's my list of the top 10 worst Pokemon in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. What did you think of the Pokemon I covered today? Was I pretty accurate, or did you think there were any truly terrible Pokemon that I missed? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Sinnoh has tons of great Pokemon, but it also has a fair share of awful ones, and I'm curious to see which ones you all think are the worst. Hey guys, thank you for enjoying another Mystic Umbreon video. It's exciting times for the Pokemon franchise, and I look forward to the coming months where it just keeps getting better. I want to give a huge thanks to my phenomenal team, and for the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all of this without them. If you guys are wanting some more bite-sized Mystic Umbreon content, please check out my TikTok, where I upload daily, as well as the Mystic Umbreon Shorts channel. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too. It really helps us out. I think it's time to wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I'll see you next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.